So he said this very interesting story, and it really brings a point home. When he said there was once a kid, and this kid was, was in his 20s, and he was just wasting his life away. He was not working. He was just like partying and then, sleeping late. And his father just got fed up. He's like, it's enough already. What are you doing with your life? So his father goes to him and says, that's it. Tomorrow, get a job. You got to get a job or you're out of the house. He's like, you're waking up at noon. You're going to sleep at 3 a.m. This is not the way you're supposed to live your life. Get a job or get out. So he goes over to his mother and he says, listen, Mom, what am I supposed to, how am I supposed to, figure the mother is always the softer one. Is always the one that's easier to manipulate, if you want to say that. So he goes to his mother, and his mother says, you're right. He goes to his mother and says, listen, Mom, I'm very tired. How am I supposed to work? I wake up at 12. And she's like, yeah, I know. It's like, life is not so easy for me. And, I have to wake up at, I have to, find my friends. And we have always this drama. And she's like, yeah, son, you're right. She's like, what, take it like this. It's like, you go out. And then when you come home, I'm going to give you like $100, and you go and you give it to Dad and say, here, I worked today, here's my money. Here's the money that I made. So he said, fine. He goes and he parties or whatever he does in the day. He comes home at later in the afternoon. He goes to his mother. Mother cooks, he slips him 100. He goes to Dad. He says, hey, Dad, listen, I had a long day at work today. He puts $100 on the table. This is what I made today. So the father goes over to him and he goes, bam, smacks him in his face. He flies across the room. He's like, what happened? He's like, you liar. Don't lie to me. And he's like, oh man, how did you know? I didn't say anything. And he goes and the next day he goes to his mother. Says, his mother's like, you fool, but you can't. He probably saw you in the streets hanging out. Says, if you go out, at least go out where he can't see you. So he says, okay, fine. Figures some corner of a beach or something. He goes and the next day he goes, he hangs out. He comes right before mother gives him $100, and he goes to Dad. He puts $100 on the table. He says, hey, Dad, I worked today, made $100. He starts flinching. And the father looks at him, catches him off guard. And the other side, bam, smacks him across the face. He goes flying again. He's like, don't you ever lie to your father again. And he's like, oh my God, what's going on? How's he, All right, the next day he gets so scared, he gets up and he goes finds a job. And he finds a job, and he works all day, and he makes also $100. He comes home, and after the whole day of work, he puts down $100 on the table and he says, Dad, I worked today, here's $100. The father goes like this, and the guy's like, no, this time I'm saying the truth. This time I really did. I really worked. So the father starts smiling and says, you see the difference? Says when you work for something, you appreciate it more. Beforehand, you couldn't even go through with your lie. But now that you had to actually work for it, all of a sudden, no. I really did it. When somebody works on themselves to change themselves, it means a lot more to them. If somebody and that's why if you see somebody who actually worked on something, and they really worked on something, they're usually, if let's say there was an anger issue, they're usually less angry than regular people. If they really work on themselves. I'm not talking about people that, sort of work on it every Tuesday, they decide to work on it. But people that really, really worked on themselves, they're so much better than they were before that they're better than the average regular person. Because they appreciate so much what you work for. And that's why it's a lot of people, even families that have a lot of money, they'll tell their kids, no, I want you to work, which is a very good chinuch because you're not going to be able to appreciate money. You're not going to be able to appreciate it. When you work for something, you appreciate it more. The same thing is for character traits. When you have to work and build something, you appreciate it. You appreciate it better. If you were once a very tough person to be around and you worked really hard and liking everybody, you're a jealous person. And then you worked in it, it changes a lot about you, and you hold that very dearly.